So this is the deaf one. This is Olali. As soon as we got to Wisconsin and everyone started loving on her, she just the whole state was there for her. So
I'm pretty sure we were. Had I known she was there, I would have stood in line to meet her rather than, stood in line for some of those other things. Welcome to Tales from the Tundra, a show that captures one team's history told through the eyes of the fan. My name is Ben, and today we are speaking with Tye. Tye is a big-time Packers fan who resides in Oregon. During our conversation, we talk about how he became a Packers fan despite having no ties to the Packers, his first trip to Lambeau Field, and honestly, so much more. We talked about the NFL draft. We talked about his puppies. We had such a fun conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. So without further ado, this is episode 14 of Tales from the Tundra with Tye. Enjoy. When you're born and raised in Oregon and you have zero ties to the Green Bay Packers or the state of Wisconsin, frankly, how do you become a Packers fan? And that's what we set out to explore with Tye.
My dad moved out here in the 70s from Beloit, Wisconsin.
Okay.
He was a lifelong Bear fan. We don't hold that against him because we did convert him. But
hold on a second then. How are you becoming a Packers fan if your dad's a Bears fan and you're in Oregon?
Yeah, so he came out here in the 70s, met my mom. Being from Beloit, that Chicago suburb, they were all Bears fans back there, and us Oregon side, we couldn't have that. So me and my brother both ended up becoming Packers fans for him.
So is your mom a sports fan at all? Like, is she from Beloit as well?
So she's actually from Oregon too.
Okay.
And our closest team is the Chickens, the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So she became a Seahawk fan.
So what made you stick with, or what made you decide the Packers out of all teams? Just because your dad was a Bears fan and you wanted to stick it to him kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, it was that. And then also, there was that Magic Man poster back in the day. I couldn't say no to that. The hair. I mean, that was just all of it for me.
Dude, I love it. Also, I want to call out the fact that I say Oregon properly. I feel like that most people in Wisconsin say Oregon. So
yep.
I want to set the record that it is Oregon as someone who lives in Oregon, correct?
100%. You got it correct. Very impressed. Yeah.
I've been studying. I'm feeling good now.
Thank you. Yeah. Don't ask me to do very many Wisconsin names. I can try, but boy, I got Schwabenon down.
Dude, yeah, that's a plus.
Yeah,
I got to be honest with you.
I think I got it.
I've lived in Wisconsin like my whole life, and I still struggle with some of the names, dude. Some of those names are wild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, my favorite one is Economawalk. That one's fun.
Economawalk. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, yeah, you got it down. You're selling yourself short. You're nailing those. I mean, Ashwaubenon's pretty good. Economawalk. I always struggle with and Tony, who watches a lot of my live streams. He's from there, and he always gives me grief. It's like Wauwatosa, and I always struggle with that one as well. So you're definitely not alone in that, man.
Cool. I'm not alone.
When did you start? So you mentioned the Magic Man. When did you start watching the Packers? Like the late 80s?
Yeah. So I still remember, the late 80s when things were not so great. But that's okay. Like I said, everything in the house was always a lot of fun. At least the Bears fans had a few years of good years before,
right.
Favre and everything else happened.
Right. So what year, you said your dad's converted now? What year did you bring him to the bright side, or the right side here, if you will?
So I started coming to Lambeau 2016, 2017. It was always a blast. I mean, it's Lambeau. I mean, how can you not have fun, right?
Right.
So even being a Bears fan, I kept telling him, for years, you got to go. You got to just experience it one time. So we came up for, it was the Detroit game, Rodgers' last game. Obviously didn't end the way that we wanted it.
Right.
But we had so much fun. Dad got to play catch with Jamal Williams. It was one of his first games back to Lambeau, and he did the whole thing, playing catch with all of us. That started it. And then just being in Lambeau, we were in the lower bowl. We were somewhere, I think it was right there by the tunnel. So Dad got to see everybody come out and got to experience, the kids playing and the flags and everything else. And it was just so not Chicago. And he just fell in love,
Dude, that blows my mind that your dad's a Bears fan for 50 years at that point, and then just decides, and then just decides, hey, you know what? I'm gonna just be on this other side of it all. That's crazy. But I suppose, you see your sons be Packers fans, and like you've enjoyed this trip and this moment with them.
Exactly.
Has he been to Green Bay since?
Yeah, so that was his first game. I come back to at least one game a year. I I'm an owner too, so I
My
try to come
man.
back for like the family nights and everything. Anytime I can come back.
Right.
But anyway, back to that. So Dad came back for the Detroit game, and then we came for Love's first game against the Saints, which was a
Wow.
blast too. So
Yeah, because they're down 17-0 towards even the tail end of the game and came back
yeah,
and won it.
yeah, came back 3 scores down in the fourth quarter to win it.
Wow.
The crowd was getting kind of testy and stuff like that. But just kind of tried to keep up that positive influence, get them going, and everything else. Just have fun. Not that I helped, but it gave Dad a lot of fun, a lot of pride. Here's my son standing
Yeah.
up to all the naysayers. So, but that one kind of won
Yeah.
him over.
It's funny how many fans just expect Jordan Love to be a Hall of Famer right out the gate, and it's tough because we as franchise have been spoiled with Brett and then spoiled with Aaron, and then you hope that quarterback play is going to keep going, but it's hard to live in those shoes. So
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
it's good to be patient.
Exactly.
When did you make your first trip then to Green Bay?
So my first trip, it was actually McCarthy's last game. For some reason, I watched a lot of Era's End. I've watched a couple begin now. But my first game was McCarthy's last game, the Josh Rosen game. It was in the snow. It was the frozen tundra that everybody wants to experience. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better time. It was, one of the coolest things I'd ever done. Just getting to walk around and see all the statues. We did the Hall of Fame, which, I mean, the Packer Hall of Fame is second to none.
Yeah, it's
so
incredible.
that was cool. Yeah. So really did it up. We did the cheese curds at Hinterland, pizza, the pancake place, everywhere we could.
Solid choices.
Yeah. So that was my first game. Not the greatest again, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually was at that game. I got free tickets to that game. And
Did you really?
That game was bad. I knew McCarthy was done after that game because you're just like this team looks so lost,
so bad.
with I think they allowed Rosen to come back, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory's not bad. They allowed him to come back and score right before the game ended.
Yeah.
So because you're from like the Bend, Oregon area,
I
think
am.
is what you said in your message. I don't know much about Bend. I don't know the size of it or anything like that. But as you're coming into Green Bay, then what was your first experience or thoughts of Green Bay as you're kind of coming into town?
It's kind of funny that you mentioned those two together. So Bend is about the same size as Green Bay. We're right about 100,000 people.
Okay.
Yeah, where Musgrave is from. Go Lava Bears. And anyway, Lava Bears. We sit behind the Cascade Mountains. We've got 13 mountain peaks that you see, countless buttes, things like that. Lava fields everywhere, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's neat. You drive into Bend, and it feels just like driving into Green Bay, where like we have this giant volcano that sits right in the middle of town, and it looks not like Lambeau, but the same feel. Where you come driving in, and you're coming into Green Bay, you're coming into Bend.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of cool.
Now this is completely separate, and I'm so bad with history and knowing anything like this. But has it ever like erupted in the last like 50 years or so? Like, is that a thing that you guys worry about?
So I'm 43. I missed it by 1 year, but we had Mount St. Helens blow up back in 1980, and that was massive. Ash went around.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of neat. Again, I missed it, but boy, I hear all kinds of stories about it. When you're a kid, they send you up there on field trips and stuff to go check it out.
I suppose it's right there. Is it something you guys ever think about? Like, I feel like I would think about it a little bit if there's that history of it. Exploding every once in a while.
Right. So of the 13 peaks, I think we got 7 that are active. The other 6 are dormant. We do get earthquakes and things like that, but not anything major yet.
Dude, that's wild. That's
yeah,
wild. we're completely derailing to a Bend, Oregon podcast episode here because I it's really interesting to me just as someone who's in, I've lived in Wisconsin pretty much my whole life. I've always been in the Midwest.
Right.
We don't have mountains. I've never had to experience that. I've been to the West Coast. I've seen the mountains, but it's never something I've thought of. So
yeah,
so you
it's a lot of fun. It's a cool place to live. I can't lie.
Probably a lot of nice like hiking and stuff like that too.
Oh,
Nice places to get outside and do you guys get like much snow there?
A lot of snow. So our temperatures aren't a whole lot different from yours. We sit pretty close to a mile high. We're almost 5,000 feet where I live.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we get a lot of snow, a lot of wind that whips off the mountains and things like that. But since we're on the east side of the mountains, we're pretty like dry all summer long, where we get more of like that Arizona, Utah feel, very dry. Yeah.
And then in the winter, you just get hit with some snow. Dude, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're destined to be a Packers fan then at that point. You got the Green Bay weather for you.
Yep.
And then you came in with a snow game.
You're right.
So your first trip and you come in, you see the Hall of Fame. Were you able to do this stadium tour as well? Because I know sometimes those get like sold out pretty quick in the weekend.
Yeah, so that one was booked. I still haven't done a stadium tour yet.
Oh man.
But yeah. At the draft though,
you have to.
Next time, I promise. Like, I do want to do it really bad, especially if there's somebody cool doing, the tour guiding. So
yeah, the alumni. Well, you said the draft a little bit there. It was very odd, and I don't know if you thought I don't know when you came into town, but it was really odd that they shut everything down 3 days prior. Where I had a friend in from Australia. He wanted to do the tour. He wanted to do everything, and everything was just shut down. Yeah, and I'm sure it's for security purposes and just making sure everything's like buttoned up.
Of course.
But I thought that was a little odd. Did you come in earlier in the week then for the draft, or did you come in like kind of right at the start of it?
So we came in. It was me, Dad, my dogs. I travel everywhere with my two little blue healers. They're my little shadows.
Yes, dude. I love that picture you shared of your puppers.
Thank you. Yeah, they had a blast. So my girl is deaf. She born that way, no big deal. And she's so funny because she really goes off of everybody's expressions. And of course, being there in Green Bay, I mean, everybody's happy, and especially for the draft. Yeah. So she had the time of her life. She was getting cheese curds left and right. I think she thought the whole state of Wisconsin was like there for her.
That's awesome. Oh, that's the best, man. That's the best. How old are your puppies?
So they're 13 and 11, but you wouldn't know it. They still act like they're 2 and 3. So, gotta love them.
I'll have to save that photo so I can put it up here somewhere because, yeah, dude, I love that photo. Is that the first time you brought them then to Green Bay?
Yeah. So we did the cross country trip this year. 9 states, 6,000 miles, something like that, to get there and back. We stayed up in Door County, which I've done before with my dad as well. And it's a lot of fun. The dogs loved Bailey's Harbor. We did the windy road up there on the 42, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was neat. It was good to experience.
That's an intense drive. How long of a drive was that for you then? I know you said you're stopping multiple places, but I mean, what's that drive like from Oregon to Green Bay generally? Like how long is that?
Just depends on how fast you want to go. We move slow. So for us, it was like 4 or 5 days there. We did the 4 days in Green Bay, 5 days in Green Bay. And then I think it was another 4 or 5 on the way home.
Oh, dude, those are like incredible memories to have with your dad. And just like that road trip is just something that you'll never forget. That's too awesome.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I figure, he's getting older. We all are. And
exactly.
So many years left. So you got to experience it with him.
Yeah, and that, I mean, to see the NFL draft too, the first time that's been in Green Bay. What was that? How did you feel about the draft after experiencing?
I loved it. I thought it was so cool. It was neat. I like the Green Bay feel where Mason Crosby was there signing autographs, and it's not at like just some generic expo center. You got to run from Piggly Wiggly to Piggly Wiggly to find the guy. Yes. And I thought that was so cool. And then what else? We met Clay Matthews there at Verizon.
Oh, sure.
And then to see him there, and then a couple hours later with his little, thing there at the
right.
Oh my gosh, the Bears still suck. That was so awesome. So
um,
sorry, Roger Goodell.
yeah, dude, I think Roger loved that because everyone was talking about that after the fact, and how could you not love that reaction from the crowd of,
Exactly.
saying that
I
the
heard.
Bears still suck.
Yeah, there were some Bear fans that got upset because of McMichael or whatever, but I think if McMichael was still around, he would have appreciated it.
Yeah, I mean, McMichael was a wrestler. He would have appreciated the show
The
behind it.
show, exactly.
You had the Bears wrestler guy. Is it Seth Rollins? I don't know. I don't know wrestling. But you had that the Bears guy that's a wrestler, and he was playing the heel up on stage too. And that's just part of the show, if you will.
Exactly. So
What do you generally watch the draft every year, like at home?
yeah, so there's different podcasts I listen to. Packers Total Pat. I don't know if you want me to say the names.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of them that I listen to. There's one that does a really good job doing the mock drafts every year, and so I really get into those. I work at the hospital here in Bend, and there's like 3 or 4 of us that we actually do our own mock drafts and stuff like that, and try to see how many.
Oh, dang.
Get.
Yeah, you take it. Is it Pack a Day that you listen to for the draft stuff, or which one do you listen to?
Yeah, so Pack a Day. Obviously anything Aaron Nagler. He's everybody's favorite.
Yeah, Nagler's solid.
Yeah,
Herman Nagler. Yeah, those guys are great.
Yeah,
They do stuff at such an insane level that I don't know how they both pump out the content that they do.
Yeah,
to do it on a daily basis is just wild to me.
Yeah, and it's always like accurate. It's coming from a good place. Like, I love having them on our team.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. So you're a big draft guy. I'm curious how you felt about the actual experience of being at the draft versus watching it at home. Like how did you, and I'll preface it by saying, like, I was surprised that when they made the selection, they announced the selection, and then it's just like, you're kind of just sitting there waiting. There's like the band thing playing, but there's no, like, I was thinking you're going to have some analysis going on or some video feed of something, but I thought it was really odd that they'd make a selection and then you just stand there for like 10 minutes listening to them, I was calling them like Great Value Bruno Mars or whatever, whatever the guy was doing. And you're just like, okay, I guess we're just waiting for the next thing. I have no idea where the board is. I have no idea anything about, I don't follow college football, but so I was like, I don't know much about this player. Usually when you're watching at home, you see like the clips and the analysts. I thought there'd be some of that. Right. So how did you feel about the comparison between watching it at home versus in person?
I like both experiences. Being there in person, being able to just feel the crowd, the vibes, all that good stuff. Us picking a wide receiver for the first time in forever. Right. Was super cool. I'm really glad I was there for that. We were parked not far away. I was heading back to the car, and I mean Lambeau erupts, and I swear you could hear everybody all the way to Appleton. Which, as much fun as it is seeing stuff on TV, I never get to experience that again.
Dude, yeah, that is the thing where it's nice in person that you get that atmosphere. And I on TV it looked like it was like a swarm of people and you're packed shoulder to shoulder. I was kind of in the back of the crowd, so it was pretty easy to navigate around yet. So I was pretty happy that it wasn't crazy like that. Now, with your draft predictions, who did you think that the Packers were going to take?
So I was really hoping for a wide receiver. I didn't want the Ohio State guy, being a Ducks fan. Right. They made us look really bad in the national championship game. So, like, as long as it wasn't that guy, I'm happy with the golden pick. I think the guy's going to be awesome for us. As far as other guys that I was hoping to see, I mean, there was a couple of like the defensive tackles, the 3 techniques that would have been good for us probably. Mm-hmm. But we still got Kenny for another year or 3. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with his contract because they just re-signed him, but he had a down year last year, and so it'll be interesting to see how that transpires with Kenny.
Yeah, I hope that he can adapt to this halfway defense. The way that like Rashawn Gary with a lot of pressures and stuff last year didn't have the sack numbers I think he wanted, but he was there.
So maybe Kenny will get there this year, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I hope LVN can come with it too and really bring that front line, be a little bit more dominant for sure.
Yeah, we saw him wandering around too there at the draft, and that guy is an absolute monster. Like,
yeah. He's a big dude.
He's like 3 guys put together. So he's got the size. We've seen the flashes. It's just time, to put it all together.
Right. Absolutely. So you said you've kind of come back every year or so, or you try to come back every year. Out of all the games you've attended now, what would you say is your favorite one you've been to?
My favorite one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had to have been that Jordan Love's first game. It was the home opener. Got to experience it with my dad. The weather was great.
Beautiful day that day.
It really was. And then who was it that played before Stone Temple Pilots and Collective Soul? I think they did a free concert the night before, which was what a cool way to like kick off the football season.
Dude, yeah, you're not kidding. I think I don't go to them because I have a little my son's almost 2 and it's kind of a nightmare to go out and do those things.
Oh, yeah.
But it's super cool that they put on those like free concerts every year. I know one year they had Counting Crows, which I'm a big fan of Counting Crows. They've had Stone Temple Pilots. They've had all these like great artists come in and do a free concert, which you can't beat that at all. And the vibes are usually pretty solid for those. And you've been to some away games as well, right, on the West Coast?
Oh yeah, we went to the Niner game. What was that? A Sunday night game. Rodgers came in. There was a Devontae penalty on the first drive. I think it was a 38-7 blowout.
Oh no!
But that weekend was fun too. I went with a couple buddies. I was the only Packer fan, so I refused to take off my cheese head from Oregon all the way down to San Francisco. So yeah, for 500 miles, everybody got to hear "Go Pack Go."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun too. San Francisco, the whole hippie thing. We went to Haight-Ashbury, Golden Gate, the different parks and things that like Janis Joplin played at. And it was kind of cool. Again, wearing the cheese head. You get the guys at the tie-dye coming up that wanted to talk. And it was basically like hanging out with Bill Walton for a day.
That's funny. What was your experience over at Levi?
It is so not Lambeau, so much different. So Old Candlestick that they used to play at was down on the bay. It was, I don't want to say it's dirty, but it was Oakland, and it was what it was. But there was atmosphere to it, and you could like tailgate and have fun. This new stadium, Levi, is in Silicon Valley, which is very antiseptic, concrete, fences everywhere. We didn't even see where they were tailgating, so
I didn't know that it was down in Silicon Valley. That's wild. That's a very like hoity-toity. I would not expect the football stadium to be there.
No, it was very clean. Very, like I said, just not Lambeau. There's tons of people, a lot of police force or whatever. So it was very subdued. Where when you're walking out of Lambeau, you got grandma next to you inviting you to a supper club, and you got another guy inviting you to his garage. So it's totally different.
Yeah. Were people pretty cool to you? It was a blowout, so I'm sure they're not really like too on edge, but were people pretty respectful?
We probably had 10,000 Packer fans there.
Really?
So, yeah, I was kind of in the middle of the group that was walking out, and I didn't catch a whole lot of flack or anything like that. It was kind of weird though. Like we saw more Niners fans fighting each other than wanting to even trash talk us. It was just a different vibe.
That is a completely different vibe. You do get some bad like Packers fans too. You're not. Every place has its like bad fans, but I feel like for the most part, like you said, that Midwest nice is here, and they'll be inviting you to have some old fashions and just hang out and have a brat and tailgate with them.
Exactly.
Have you been to any other stadiums then, other than like Levi Candlestick?
We've gone up to Lumen and stuff, and it's fine. The 12s are loud and they're crazy, But like really, we've been to Autzen Stadium a bunch of times here in Oregon, and I swear Autzen's louder than the 12s were. So
really,
oh yeah,
how recent have you been to? I didn't even know it was called Lumen until we played them this last year.
right.
Because wasn't it like Century?
The
Was
clean,
it CenturyLink? Yeah,
yeah,
whatever it was.
whatever.
Yeah, I didn't even realize they changed it to Lumen. But how long ago were you at that stadium?
Hasselbeck was still the quarterback, so it's been
Oh
a few.
wow, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a minute. So okay,
Yep.
yeah. What was your experience like then? Because that was really before. I mean, they had some good years with Hasselbeck. They went to a Super Bowl, and they had some success there. But really, I feel like once the Legion of Boom came in and Russell came in, is really it kind of took that next step up to being huge fans.
They really did.
What was your experience like when you went back then to see a game?
It was fun. Again, it's not Lambeau. Seattle. It's in the South downtown district. They call it Soto.
Okay.
So they got the whole Soto Mojo thing, which
Soto.
is Soto Mojo. It's a bunch of Mariner and Seahawk fans, and then there's still a lot of Sonics fans that run around down there.
Really?
They're not as cool. Yeah, they're not as cool as our Green Bay ambassadors or anything like that, but they were fun. They were fun to party with. They weren't no meanness or anything like that. It just
that's good.
Yeah.
So good vibes then. I'm sure it shifted around that 2013 to 2015 window. I'm sure there is a little bit more rowdy then.
I think so too. Once the Legion of Boom was there, Michael Bennett and those other guys that were a little bit more hardcore.
Yeah, right.
Probably a bit more, but nah, it was good. We had fun.
Would you go there? I suppose right now, it seems like they're kind of going through a similar issue that maybe the Packers have went through, where fans are more selling tickets than going to it themselves. So it kind of the ampleness of the rowdiness, I guess, kind of tones down now with everyone selling their tickets and the demand being there. But I'm curious if you would go to that stadium now, given like kind of the shift that we've seen with them.
Oh, 100%. I think it would be so fun to take over another stadium.
Dude, I like that mentality. Hey, it's Ben. Sorry to jump in, but I wanted to draw the winner of last week's giveaway. Before I do, as always, I want to say a huge thank you to Nicolay Law for making this possible. Without Nicolay Law, I would not be able to do these giveaways, so I'm incredibly grateful for them. If you do find yourself injured, get Nicolay, as always. Also, thank you to everyone who took the time to enter. All right, let's see who won this week. This one right here feels like a good one. Swag Coda, you're on the board, my man. Thank you once again for all of you that are supporting the show and have been watching, whether it's your first episode or you've watched all 14 now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Swag Coda, let's see what you won, buddy. While we're waiting to see what Swag Coda won, I do want to give you the word to enter the giveaway for this episode. This week's phrase is going to be Matt Ramage. Matt is another individual who is sponsored by Nicolay Law as well. So I felt like it was an appropriate thing. And he's a good friend of mine. So if you haven't done so before, find that entry link for the giveaway. It's going to ask for your information as well as the phrase of the week, the Nicolay Law phrase of the week, and be sure to put in Matt Ramage or some form of that Ramage, guy with a crazy eye, whatever you want to put in. And then maybe you'll be the winner next week. Sway Coda, you got yourself a Carl Brooks signed 8x10 rather. It's a super cool picture. It's him tipping the kick in Chicago this past season. So congratulations. Once again, thank you guys for entering. Thanks for the support. And as always, thank you to Nicolay Law for making these possible. Let's get back to our conversation with Tye. So one thing you mentioned when we were messaging back and forth is that you've used like my website for helping you find places and stuff to go. As you've come to town now, and you've been here a handful of times from the sounds of it, first coming in, 2018, right? Yeah, 2018 for the Cardinals game.
So
So it's been a handful of years. what are some of your places that you like to go when you're coming into town? Like food wise, drink wise, what's your go-to spots now since you're becoming a wily old veteran here?
Yeah. The Pancake House for breakfast, or Pancake Place.
Yep.
For
Solid
breakfast.
place.
Pancake House is out here. My fault.
No, dude, so many people mix those two up. My dad's been here and visited multiple times. We've taken him there multiple times, and he calls it the Pancake House, I think, every single time. So you're definitely not, I don't even think he's ever been to a pancake house, but he calls the Pancake Place Pancake House every time.
I got you. Yeah. Well, good. I'm not alone again.
Yeah, you're not alone. You at least have an excuse, unlike him. So
yeah. So when we go up, we don't stay in Green Bay. We go up to Dork, and we usually get this little A-frame at it's like the HTR campground or something, and it's close to Sister Bay and all that. So we've done. There's a brewery up there in Door County. I can't remember the name. That was really good. Al Johnson's was super cool. Not many places where you can go where goats like maintain the roof, you know.
Right. Yeah. Al Johnson's is wild for that, for sure.
It's so cool. But yeah, they're in town. Let's see. I went to a Scray cheese factory and got myself some curds this last time.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really good. And then I took the dogs over to a waterfall that was like right around the corner from there. They absolutely love that. So
that's great.
Yeah,
because you guys don't have cheese curds out there, correct?
So we have Tillamook, and Tillamook cheese is supposed to be blah blah blah, but it doesn't squeak when you eat it. It doesn't count.
Interesting. Okay, so when you went to Scray this past time,
yep,
or whenever you went to Scray, I think you said this past time when you went for the draft,
yep.
Was that your first time having fresh cheese curds then?
Oh no, we try cheese curds every time we come back. There's is it Clock Tower down there in Milwaukee?
Okay,
that was really good.
Is it the fresh like raw or cold cheese, or is it cheese curds that you get? Like, I'm sorry, deep fried.
Oh, I'll do both. I'm not picky.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, O'Galley Cheese Factory was another one that we've hit up. That's over there.
Solid.
Yeah, I like that one. And then for deep fried ones, Hinterland was great. We got some at Anduzzi's that were really good.
Nice.
Yeah. And then you can't beat Culver's. You know, Culver's is pretty good.
Yeah, because you guys, I know Culver's has some locations over there in the West Coast. You guys have them in Oregon then?
We don't. We got a couple over in Boise, which is about 6 or 8 hours away from me. So we'll probably make a pilgrimage if we have to.
Dang, that's wild that they haven't hit Oregon yet. Because they're in California, or no? Are they in California? I know they're in Phoenix or like Arizona.
Yeah. So I don't know about California, but man, Boise's really close. The one more stop and they'll be here.
We need to put the word out. Culver's needs to expand a little bit further for you.
Believe me, I'm on it every time. They're telling us about something new in Bend. Culver's is always first.
Dude, Culver's. That's the best.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you something else, and now I forgot. That's the joy of this show.
Oh, of course.
So you mentioned earlier that did you go to both pig locations for Mason?
I did. Yep.
Are you? I see some memorabilia and stuff in the background, or some collectibles in the background. Are you a big memorabilia guy, where you get a lot of signed stuff, or are you just like the opportunity to meet players?
I think it's really cool meeting the players. Really a social guy. I don't even mind standing in line just talking to like the different fans. When we were there at the Howard Pig, there was a lady that had like lived next to Mason or whatever, and she wasn't even there for an autograph. She just wanted to find out how Molly and the kids were.
Yeah, so, dude, that's the best.
Yeah, so just little things like that. We met Zach Tom when we were there too, and Johnny Gray. They had to slide past my dad real quick, and they both grabbed hold of my dad and were like, "Hey, don't you hurt this little guy?" And we turned around and Zach Tom. So, you know, there's little things like that. I thought it was pretty neat.
Now, out of all the players that you've had a chance to meet, who's your favorite that you've had that chance to interact with and meet?
So just to meet like Jamal Williams when we were at that Detroit game was so nice and so just funny. The guy is his personality for days. Clay Matthews was amazing. The guy is hilarious. Johnny Gray was super cool, appreciative that people were there. Zach Tom was quiet and reserved.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then my favorite one was Great Digger. When we met Gilbert Brown, that guy was so cool. There was a couple kids that showed up, Green Bay. And so they're just there. Mom knew they were there. They were okay, whatever. And Great Digger's checking on them. Are you kids all right? You all right? And so anyway, when it came time for their signing, they didn't have any money. And Gilbert Brown was like, nah, get back here. And he signed full on helmets and stuff for him, which I think they were going for like $300 a piece.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, just super cool. He was promoting a beer, and so we were just kind of, shooting the breeze or whatever. And I was asking what he thought paired best with his beer. And he goes, it just makes me burp. So it just means I can eat more. He goes, I don't care what you eat with it. So I just thought that answer was awesome.
that is great. I didn't even know was this like at the draft that you met him, or was it a previous time?
That was at the draft. It was him. Eddie Lacy was there. He's cool too. Dorsey Levens was there. I hadn't met him before. And then Santana Dotson, which, man, he hasn't changed a bit. He still looks the same as he did.
Yeah, I know. He looks identical to his playing days. Wild how you can look that good 30 years later.
Yeah.
I didn't know Gilbert launched beer. I'll have to look into that. I'm not a beer drinker, but still it'd be cool to just have one for I have way too much Packer stuff myself. So
oh gosh, yeah. I'm about to move out of my living room and everything's gonna get its own bedroom soon.
Dude, now we're talking. Are you gonna put like a TV in there and make it your whole like Packer game day spot?
Oh yeah, it'll be the man cave here shortly.
Dude, I love that. That's awesome. I think I remember what I was gonna ask you about. So I'm kind of all over the place on this one, but that's all right. So you started watching the 80s, and then so you're 8 years older than me. So you're like a teenager then when Favre kind of came in to the Packers.
Yep.
What was that experience like for you to watch your team win their Super Bowl in Super Bowl 31? Did you watch that game then?
We did. So that was my mom and that was my stepdad then. They were always into the big TVs, the big surround sounds, and all that kind of stuff. So they threw a big party for the Super Bowl. Most of them were Patriot fans, except for me and my brother. And so it was a great game for us. The house cleared out really quick, and stuff like that. But yeah, we were the last one standing and cheering for that game. It was so neat to see. Again, being a teenager, still kind of a kid, having somebody that was so just full of life, exuberant, just playing like, hard on his sleeve. You couldn't have had a better quarterback as a teenager than Brett Favre.
I couldn't agree more. And then you watch him throughout pretty much your whole youth, because he came in when you're really young, because you said you're 43, so you're about, I don't know, 7 years older than me, and I was pretty young when they won the Super Bowl. So you pretty much watched Favre from the time you're probably really paying attention to football or fully like kind of grasping football to the time where he kind of departs and after the 2007 season. What was your feeling like at that point where you're watch this player pour his heart out for, I think it was like 16 years for the Packers and then leaving? I feel like fans took kind of two different paths. Were you, I want Favre back, or were you like, I'm gonna see what Rodgers has to offer?
So if I just didn't want to see him go to the Vikings. Wherever he went, I just didn't want him to go there. I kind of felt it was probably time. Same like he was kind of done with Green Bay, and we had Aaron waiting, so I kind of understood. It was tough though. After watching the guy that played like that, going to Rodgers, who's more cerebral, and everything else, was definitely a difference.
Yeah, I thought it was for myself. Speaking for myself, I was like over the whole should I retire, shouldn't I retire song and dance that we were having every year. Exactly, I love Brett Favre, but I was just like, man, it was just like exhausting every off season to be like, is this it? Am I coming back?
Right.
And then when he went to Minnesota, you said you just didn't want him to go to Minnesota. What was your feeling like when that happened?
Oh gosh, it was what it was. I guess the writing was on the wall. We kind of figured it was going to happen, but it sure didn't make it any easier.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But then also too, like seeing him get hurt, that was like the last thing I wanted to see. Still don't like the Saints after that whole fiasco down there.
Yeah, that was. I certainly wanted them to lose. I did not want them to go to a Super Bowl. I didn't want them to win the Super Bowl. But I also don't think that you should just be like deliberately out to injure players either. And you saw them do that to Kurt Warner earlier on in that postseason run. Yep. I think that was the last game Kurt Warner played, if I'm not mistaken. Did he retire after the 2009 season? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that was the last game he played was when the Saints rocked him in that playoff game. I could be mistaken on that. Someone will probably fact check me on that.
Oh yeah, we'll get fact checked, no problem. The internet's good for that.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have your puppies there?
Oh yeah. Let's see. Come here.
See if they'll make an appearance and cooperate.
Yeah.
So everyone can see it. Dude, people love puppies.
Definitely. So this is the deaf one. This is Olali.
Olali?
The first one, my sweet old lady.
Oh yeah, what a nice puppy.
Thank you. And hey Wally, come here real quick, bud. You want to get on TV too? There we go. Come here, puppy. There we go. So here's Wally Bean, my little Wally. Man. My wild guy.
Yeah. I love that photo of you. You had him pose outside of Lambeau Field, and that's awesome.
Had to. Yeah. That was.
Are they good on road trips like that? Like, because that's a long road trip.
Yeah. So we've gone back to South Dakota. We've been back to Yellowstone a couple of times, but this was the first one where it was 2 weeks straight of just being on the road, having fun. And they did great. I mean, probably did better than we did. Like really, it was really neat watching them as we went along. Like I said, Olali, as soon as we got to Wisconsin and everyone started loving on her, she just like the whole state was there for her. So
I'm pretty sure we were. Had I known she was there, I would have stood in line to meet her rather than stood in line for some of those other things.
Right. Yeah. So it was kind of neat. I don't leash them very often. They're good. They're always shadowing me. So when we're in the parks and things like that where they're allowed to be off leash, I let them run. And it was kind of cool. Instead of shadowing me on this trip, Olali by the end would like seek out these other not lonely people, but people that were alone. And she'd buddy up to them and she'd be like, all right, you're my friend for the next half hour. And it was just so cool to watch. So yeah, they had a blast. Wally is completely toy driven, stick driven. So, he found sticks and rocks and pine cones for 6,000 miles.
Dude, that's awesome. Were you able to have them at the actual draft itself, or did you leave them back at the hotel? Or you say you get like an A-frame cabin thing. Do you leave them back for that?
So we have a bigger SUV, and so they're able to hang out there. We parked like 2 blocks up the road from Lambeau, pretty much where I got that picture from.
Oh, sure. And that's really close to Lambeau then.
It was really nice. Yeah. So basically what we do is me and Dad would just take turns. Like I would go get drafted in the draft and I'd run back to them. Go check out the Super Bowl rings, run back and see the dogs. But it wasn't like a big deal. It was so fun. And then being able to walk through the neighborhoods and stuff like that and let everybody say hey and everything else was super cool.
Well, and the weather was perfect for them just chilling in the car too. I mean, it was pretty chilly and rainy, or rainy on Friday. It was chilly on Thursday. So it was like perfect weather just to chill and get outside a little bit, but chill in the SUV a little bit too. So I think that's dude, I'm glad they had a good time. I feel like it'd be really stressful to have that long of a road trip with some animals, but it sounds like they pulled through and they're champs.
Oh, they're so good, super flat. Yeah.
Are you guys doing any road trips like that? You and Dad?
Yeah, so out here it's trout season. We don't get a lot of walleye or muskie or anything like that out here. It's more like the cold alpine type lakes.
Okay.
So yeah, we're kind of in the middle of all that. The last 3 weekends we've gone out to different lakes and I think we got 3 more weekends to go before it'll just be too hot, and then we'll settle down for the summer.
Dude, that's great memories. Bringing your puppies outside, hanging out with Dad. You can't beat that, man.
Oh, you can't. Yep. Yeah, he Dad spends about a month with me each year, and we try to fit as much stuff in as we can.
Does he still live? Does he live out in Oregon then, or does he just come in and visit?
Just comes and visits. He's still a Beloit guy.
Okay, so wow, so he's still all the way over in Illinois.
Oh yeah, yep.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So, do you know how his he transitions, right? He's in Illinois. He's a Bears fan, and then just shows up on Monday after the game, deciding to be a Packers fan. That's even crazier when you're in Illinois.
Yeah. So there's a lot of family back there. I think there's got to be probably 30 of us, Neville's. And so his brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, oh yeah, I think they still give him stuff for it. So
dude, I love that even more. I thought you guys were all like maybe out in Oregon together. Like, okay, then it's easier to make that transition because there's probably a lot of Hawks fans out there and maybe some other kind of, you don't have a professional team, so you probably get a blend of all sorts of fans out there. But dude, to do it in Illinois where you're surrounded by, although Bears fans might just get it. They might, after all the years of just, dealing with it, they just might be like, all right, I get it at this point.
So a lot of them jumped ship after the whole Jay Cutler experience, and Dad pretty much jumped off after that, but still tried,
Yeah.
But yeah, so after Jay Cutler, I don't think Bears fans hold anything against him.
They're just surviving best they can.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I always wrap this up with some kind of hot questions, quick questions that are meant to kind of put you on the spot here. So
sure.
If you could sit down and have a conversation with any person associated with the Green Bay Packers, alive or dead, and I'm going to take some people off. I'm going to take the Reggies, the Vinces out. Who would you sit down and have a conversation and why?
Let's see. I mean, if we're going all the way back, like Gus Rasnow, that one-armed wide receiver that we had, or one-handed wide receiver, just being able to hear all those stories and about how did you do this? Like,
dude, what a pull. What a name pull. I love that.
Yeah. And then the other one I think would be a lot of fun from like way back then would be Tobin Rote. The first like dual threat, like real quarterback who is Michael Vick running and throwing. Just being able to like hear his stories about how he's totally different than everybody.
Dude,
cool.
Those are great answers.
Yeah, thank you.
What about someone more modern era? Anyone out of the modern era that would pique your interest?
Oh, definitely. Any of our coaches, like really Mark Murphy, getting to hear the stories, the ins and outs, and things like that would be great. Mike McCarthy seems like he'd be fun to talk to for a while. Have a beer with. So
it was interesting that he joined McAfee at the draft. I don't watch a ton of McAfee, but I love that McCarthy was there in Green Bay, and the reaction he got from the crowd of how much they love him.
Yeah,
like, dude, that's got to be nothing better than that for McCarthy, because he deserves it for sure.
Yeah, I don't care where else he goes. That's our coach, man.
Dude, I'm with you. I mean, I do think that at the time it was time to move on. I kind of feel like a coach is kind of like a president, that you should have like an 8-year term limit, right?
Agreed.
After 8 years, it's almost like you probably should kind of move on and do something else, because with few exceptions, after 8 years, it feels like the message gets pretty stale. And when you have those veterans that have been through it, it's hard to really keep playing at a certain level. There are a few exceptions. Bill Belichick had a lot of success.
Yeah.
But like most, it feels like most coaches kind of like fizzle out after that period of time.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully, I maybe I shouldn't say that, because Matt's coming up on 8 years here.
I was going to say, it gives Matt one more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take back what I said. Matt's doing great. I love Matt. If you could watch any game again for the first time, having the same emotions, feelings as you did the first time you watched it, I'm going to exclude Super Bowls, NFC Championship games. Which game would you choose and why?
The Brett Favre after his dad passing.
I think that's a no brainer there for sure.
That for me, yeah.
Love it. if you could attend any game in the history of the Green Bay Packers, minus a championship, so no Ice Bowl, NFC Championship game, Super Bowls, which game are you choosing and why?
Gosh, that's a tough one. God, I have to get back to you on that one. I can't even think. There's so many games that we've had.
That's just it. There's just so many. I've actually had people text me or message me like a day or two later. They're like, "Oh, I should have said this game." Like I thought about it this morning while I was doing X, Y, or Z, and I should have said this game instead. So, any that pop off like right when you heard that question, that was your gut reaction?
I mean, I hate to say it, but like the MD Jennings game, it wasn't a catch. It was a catch.
The Fail Mary.
The Fail Mary, just because, my gosh, that was the emotions and everything else. That one would have been wild to see. Let's see. For us, though, I mean, any of the games where any of the records were broken, where Aaron was at his best, any of those type of games would just be awesome. They really
for
would.
Sure. Yeah, you couldn't go wrong with any of those. I would be interested to be, or it would be interesting to be at like at Seattle game, because I'm sure there was some hostility that night with Packers fans being mad and Seahawks fans being upset or like kind of elated, and that is still one of the oddest moments as a Packers fan I think I've experienced.
Exactly.
The cluster of that game was so weird. That was just like a mess of a game all around.
It was just a mess of a game. That's the perfect way to say it.
And then that ref wrote a book about that experience after the fact, and it's like, what are we doing here, guy? Like
and that's actually picked that. I remember the book, and I haven't read it, but gosh, it'd be a fun read.
Oh man, what a! Now you got me all amped up, Ty. I'm all like hyped up. It's almost my bedtime. I'm all fired up here.
Yeah, we still got a few hours out here. It's only 6 o'clock my time.
Yeah, you guys are way over. Are you on? It's West Coast for you guys, right? You're not Mountain Time in Oregon.
Yeah, we're West Coast.
Yep. How is that like kind of sidetrack here, but how is that for game days? Because that's got to be kind of nice. 10 a.m. kickoff for noon for us, and late games, dude. You're just sitting down to have dinner. Games over before bedtime.
See, and that's what's awesome about it is, it's neat waking up. If you sleep in a little bit, you're not going to miss a whole lot. That's cool. And then the late games where you can sit down to dinner. You don't have to be up till midnight.
I'm envious.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
Yeah, the only downside is that like when it's like the London games, because they're like 8:30 here or something like that. It's a pretty early rise for you, but those are pretty few and far between.
Yep. They are. At least we've only had to do one of those.
Yeah, right. Dude, I'm pretty jealous though. I would love to have. I wouldn't dread like Sunday night, Monday night football nearly as much when you're only staying up until 10 o'clock, or the game's on until like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you can kind of wind down a little bit.
Yep.
Dude, I'm.
Yeah, no complaints from me.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice for sure. Let's see here. So you're an owner. I'm an owner as well. We know the Packers don't have a definitive owner. Let's say you woke up tomorrow. You are the definitive owner. You can make any decision you want. Any lever you pull gets done because you are the guy. What is the first thing you are doing as the full owner of the Green Bay Packers?
Okay, so if it's for this next year only, Trey Hendrickson, let's get it done.
You're just pulling the trigger on that, huh?
Yep. Sorry, Goody. I'm going above your head on this one.
You're just pulling a Jerry Jones and just doing it.
Yeah. I'll be Jerry.
Do you with Trey Hendricks? He's got a weird situation right now. He said he's not going to play under his current contract. He's an older pass rusher, but he's been super effective. Honestly, I've loved watching that guy. His motor just doesn't stop.
Exactly.
And I love that he doesn't wear gloves. I think that's super cool that he just tapes his fingers and he just goes. What do you think is going to happen with his situation? Do you think he'll play for the Bengals this year, or do you think he'll be out?
I can't imagine a guy at his age, because he is 30, 31.
Yeah, he's older for a pass rusher for sure.
Yeah. So I can't imagine sitting out a prime year of his career if it was me.
Yeah.
But I'm not making millions of dollars either, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you got the money already, right? He's already made the money.
True.
But also at the same time, all this is surrounding money. So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe, like you said, you don't want to waste that experience or that year. So do you think he suits up for his current contract?
Oh, I think so. I mean, in
Yeah.
the long run, because we've seen this happen before with a lot of players, and it seems like in the end, they'll either adjust something, they'll push something to where there's a little bit more guaranteed money or something somewhere. So maybe they'll do something like that for him.
Yeah, it might just be a Bengals issue, man, because you see their first round pick is holding out right now because he doesn't like the contract they're offering.
Yeah.
So,
And it took forever to get Higgins done.
yeah, maybe it's just a Bengals thing. Maybe they're just, I think that is the beautiful part about the Packers not having that traditional owner is that you don't have maybe that same ego that you do with like a traditional owner, the Jerry Jones or I don't even know who the Bengals owner is, but you get some of those guys that maybe take it a little bit more personally than it is because they feel it's their team and that's their property. When I'm guessing Mark Murphy doesn't feel that way about it, and he just lets people handle their jobs, which is kind of a blessing.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way that we're organized. We're always in the running for the playoffs. We technically were in a rebuild when we brought Jordan in as a starter, and I mean, we made the playoffs. So,
do you think he bounces back this year? I mean, not that he didn't have a terrible last year, but like injuries led to inconsistencies, and he wasn't the Jordan that we saw in 2022. 2023 Jordan was kind of like up and down a little bit more. Do you think we see him kind of get it back on that right path that you'd like to see?
I think so. Yeah, I think 22 showed us that he can be a top 10 quarterback. Really, it's just getting his legs healthy, getting back underneath him again, keep people away from his ankles and knees, and I think he's going to be great.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode with Tye. Thank you so much to Tye for taking the time to share his story. I had such a great time talking with him. I also want to say a huge thank you to Nicolay Law, as always, for sponsoring this show and being a proud sponsor of the show. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do the weekly giveaways and do so many other fun things that we do. So if you are injured, get Nicolay. If you want to be on an episode of Tales from the Tundra, check the show notes or the comments for a link on how to be on the show or how to apply to be on the show. And as always, I'm Ben. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you same place, same time next week. And until then, as always, go Pack Go.